Welcome, one and all, to another edition of the Defo Show with Lubie here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network, brought to you by Water Cleanup of Florida. I don't know about you, but dealt with a few different service industry companies, and usually the job gets done. But getting the job done can be so much fun. Water Cleanup of Florida is not like that. Actually, it was the greatest experience I've had working with the service industry. They returned every call. They answered every call in some form. They responded to every text. They sent their men out. Their people got the job done very efficiently, effectively, and quickly, and it was very affordable. Working with Water Cleanup of Florida, with the experience my wife and I still talk about, rave about to this day, they will do the same for you if you have any leaks, any water damage around your home or office. Just call them 954-579-0356. Check out their website, wcufl.com. And like I talk about each and every time, a lot of the time when you deal with service industries, it's not just one service companies. It's not just one. They're very specified and they will do this one thing, but they don't do everything. Water Cleanup of Florida does, because they have licensed, insured, certified contractors. If you have an issue with your home, they not only will find the issue, they not only will fix the issue, but they'll make it look brand new. Not every company that does these things can do that. Water Cleanup of Florida can and will do that for you. 954-579-0356. Check them out on the socials at Water Cleanup FL and on Google. Over 75-star reviews. Water Cleanup of Florida. If you have the schmutz, I'm telling you, they have the guts. The Miami Heat, slowly but surely, are coming into form. We've talked a lot more about them recently. And a nice game last night. Yeah, there was no Zion Williamson. There was no Brandon Ingram. Hey, we've seen the Heat struggle against teams without their stars. They did not last night. Kyle Lowry came out early, aggressive. In the end, his point total wasn't tremendous, but he was highly involved in the game. And you saw, for the first time this year, they had a healthy Butler, a healthy Bam, a healthy Herro, a healthy Lowry, and a healthy Oladipo. And they won going away last night, 4 games over 500 for, I think, the first time this year, or one of the first times this season, sitting there at the 6th spot, hovering right around. You see the 3rd, the 4th spot in striking distance. It's nice to see the Miami Heat rounding into form. We talked about that today, and a little bit about some of the other stars in the NBA on the Defo Show with Lubie here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network.
Is Chris Quinn a good coach? I don't know. He's been an assistant there for Spoelstra for many years. Doesn't say much, right? Does anybody give Spoelstra any advice? Why does Spoelstra need 11 assistants when none of them speak? Have you noticed that? None of them ever say a word, and they don't look happy. They don't look happy on the bench there.
I've seen them
They're up 25 the entire game last night against New Orleans, and all the coaches have that look on their face like, oh, shit, we're all getting fired.
I've seen them talk, actually, but they do all look bitter. They always look like Malik Allen and Zoe, and in the past, Howard and Quinn. They always have the, all right, who we're going to yell at?
Oh, yeah.
It's like you're up by
basketball
20.
really that treacherous of a game to be sitting on the sidelines making $2 million a year as an assistant coach? That, I mean, what are you really coaching anymore except, telling a guy, go ahead and shoot it, hoist it.
Or not shoot it.
I did watch some of that game last night, the Heat and the Pelicans. Unfortunately, you weren't really watching the Pelicans because the Pelicans, now 26-19 on the season, had been playing really good basketball, but they haven't the mystery toe of Brandon Ingram.
Well, no, Zion, too. Did Zion?
Well, Zion's had a hamstring, and they said he was going to miss maybe 8-10 games or something like that because they don't want to, take any chances with Zion Williamson because he's finally been playing. I mean,
great.
He missed all of last season. He's having a good year. Really distinguished himself. They gave him all of that money, and you thought, wow, how could you possibly, you talk about a high-risk guy in terms of injury. Like, do you extend Tua? I don't know. But, with Zion Williamson, you had already spent like a fortune with a number 1 overall pick. And, were you going to extend him when he never played? Did he miss his entire rookie season also? I mean, didn't he have some kind of thing in his rookie year?
Yes, Zion's been hurt every year. Yes, yeah. That's been the problem with weight, with feet. And he hasn't lost weight. He's only maintained his weight. And it's impressive that he's that athletic for his size. But at some point, it's going to end. Yes, Zion's always been hurt every year. This was the first year he actually played a lot of the year and then was hurt again.
And he was doing well, yeah. And a very exciting player because, he just doesn't look like he should be able to function that well inside. That was the big concern. I mean, the guy's, 6'4", 6'5"?
He's 6'5", yeah. He's like 6'4", 6'5". But he's strong.
It's like Adrian Dantley going in there. I mean, and you've had other guys that were effective. as that type of player, but not, you wouldn't think today with the abundance of guys that are 6'10" plus playing in the NBA. It's not like the old days, right? Where Connie Dierking was 6'8" and he was the biggest guy in the league.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, he was having a good year, and Ingram had been brilliant. I mean, made that trade of Anthony Davis to the Lakers not look so devastatingly one-sided, even though, Davis was saying he didn't want to play in New Orleans anymore. And you would think New Orleans would not be a good place for Zion Williamson to be situated. I mean, would he not be better off like eating a walleye in Minnesota with the Timberwolves? I mean, imagine Zion on Bourbon Street. That's a sodium bloodbath every day out there. That's what you're fighting. You're fighting for your life every day in New Orleans.
100%. To eat healthy there is like the biggest waste.
12 grilled oysters with Parmesan cheese and oil and all of this stuff is like a salad there.
100%. Like they find ways to make seafood not healthy. Like everything you eat there is like, Jesus, how did you do that?
I mean, when you're pulling like stuff out of the muddy Mississippi, I guess you need to disguise the taste. But wow,
they do a good job of it.
Yeah. Redfish. That's some of them redfish.
Yeah, exactly. Everything's like
redfish, like live in garbage cans. I mean, it's unbelievable. Anyway, it wasn't much of a ball game last night without the two big stars there. McCollum was in the game for New Orleans, but and he had a good ball game. But they were no match whatsoever. The Heat were on fire, by the way. They were playing like really good basketball last night.
Yeah, they're playing, and
all the way around.
Lowry came back and was a big part of it, and Gabe Vincent's been good. And
so they're actually making a little move here, Lubie. I know you've been down on your Miami Heat all year, 25-21. They're a top 10 team defensively, which is not necessarily something you would consider as a given because they don't really have. I mean, Bam's their big man; he's having a great year all the way around. But they don't really have that like Rudy Gobert type, standing by the basket there, blocking shots and doing things like that. Their starting five has only been together, and I guess they include Caleb Martin as part of the starting five. Is that a fair thing to do?
Yes.
They've only been together 14 games this year. They've started 14 games together. Tyler Herro, Butler, Adebayo. Do we have Max Strus as a starter?
Strus, this group,
Caleb Martin
doesn't start because Herro now is entrenched in the starting lineup.
Oh, Lowry's the
Lowry starts at guard. And Oladipo and Vincent play starters minutes, but they are not starters with this group.
All right, so they're making a little ascent here because they were sub 500 not that long ago.
They're like 3 games out of the 5. They're 3.5 out of the 4, and the 3.
Yeah,
I mean they're right there. I mean, and they're rumored to be involved in. And I'm trying to get them on. It's funny, Sean Devaney, who we've had on for years, is now like a guy that breaks a lot of Heat reports. So I'm trying to get him on again. And we had him on last week. Like they're involved in a lot of trade rumors because they are close.
So who do they need to get? What do they need?
They're looking at either the guy with the Hawks, John, the big guy. I always forget his last name. The guy from the Hawks, the big guy, but people aren't sure if he would work with Bam. And they're also looking into going younger at guard. Like they like D'Angelo Russell a lot.
Oh, Collins, kid Collins.
John Collins, good for you.
Yeah.
John Collins,
he's a good player.
Who's really good. And the trade that's out there is an amazing trade. Like, it'd be Caleb Martin, Duncan Robinson, and a first-round pick. Like, they don't give up anyone good. Like, that would be insane to get him for that.
Caleb Martin's not
He's
a bad
fine,
player.
but, I mean, John Collins is better, and they'd be at the same
position.
position.
Duncan Robinson, unfortunately, has become...
They don't even use Robinson.
For lack of a better term, dead weight. I mean, he got the big contract, which it's not enormous by NBA standards, but it's big enough to... make you think that they should make some use of this guy. And for some reason, he just fell out of favor. And how did he lose his moxie, this guy?
Because he just shoots threes. Look, you saw it years ago, and he's a little bit better. But Steve Novak did that. I remember that year that he played the Knicks in the playoffs, and the Knicks were excited because they had Carmelo and Amari. And then you had Steve Novak shooting threes. The problem is all Steve Novak could do was shoot threes. So if you D-up on him, and then... you just attack him on offense. He can't, and that's sort of Robinson in a sense. Robinson's a little.
Yeah, Robinson is kind of floundering around.
There's nothing he can do. Nothing else he can do. So you're playing 4-on-5 on defense. So like he's sort of a waste. And this team is so big on defense that like if you notice everyone that they play, especially at the end of the game, Herro is usually the only weak link. Everyone else is a stud on defense. Like Robinson doesn't fit. He just doesn't fit in this group. So, like, if you can get a John Collins, it's great. The problem is people wonder if Collins and Bam will work together. So I don't know. I
Collins, struck me as being a guy that was more than willing to capitulate to doing whatever it took for the team to win. He seemed like a very solid, type of NBA player, and somebody that you would want on your team, and could spark up a team also.
Well, so he does the stuff that Bam's worked on, but Bam doesn't. Like, he can shoot a 3-ball. His mid-range is really good. He attacks the basket. He does play defense. Like, they're just worried. It's not that he's selfish. It's that, will his game fit with Bam's game? Like, that's what people are concerned with. They complement each other. I don't know. I like that the Heat have made this move.
I take a shot at it and worry about it later.
I mean, it always seems to work out for the Heat when they do stuff like that.
An interesting game, too. I was checking out parts of this game. Atlanta ended up winning the game in Dallas as you had Luka Doncic's parents were at the game, or his father was at the game, sitting next to Mark Cuban. And it looked like Cuban, owed, I mean, this is not to cast any aspersions at the appearance of the family of Luka Doncic, but, if you were in trouble with people in the European mob, it looked like these were the kind of guys they would send to send you a message that you better change your tune, Marco. I mean, did you see these guys? And, scarred up faces and real tough looking, the kind of guys you see in a crowd at the British Open on a particularly nasty weather day. Didn't it look like he was with like mafia hitmen, like European mafia hitmen?
Like the big guys that don't say anything, they just stand there, and you're like, oh shit.
Everybody had that kind of, real, sort of mob character type of face. You see hanging around when a guy walks into the wrong place in a movie, and he's in some place in Europe, and you realize that you're not going to be welcome there, and it's like, holy shit, man, how badly are they going to bust me up? But and Luka, naturally, I mean, he's always going to put on a show. I mean, we had this discussion with, and it's hypothetical, and I do believe that the answer seems to be fairly obvious that, I mean, the Dallas Mavericks pulled off a major coup in getting Luka Doncic and talking the Atlanta Hawks into drafting Doncic for them at the 3rd pick. I don't know why they had to go. Why they could have just traded the picks and done it straight up. But they ended up, the Hawks had their eyes on Trae Young. And Trae Young's a good ball player. Not my favorite, right? Because he's sort of the poor man's Iverson, isn't he? Would you say that's a fair statement?
Yeah, that's.
I think Iverson was known as a good defensive player, though, too. Also, which was kind of surprising. Didn't he have a lot of steals?
He got a lot of steals. I don't know if he was a good defensive player. He was good.
Yeah, I mean, he was. He was like 5'10". This guy, he was shorter than I was, even though he was listed at 6'2" NBA. By NBA standards, he was 6'3".
It's funny. He's more efficient and he's a better passer. Like, he actually gets really good assist numbers, which Iverson never.
He throws a nice lob to the basket. I mean, that he does well.
He's a more well-rounded offensive player, but yes, he does feel sort of Iverson. He's a short guy who's athletic, who does some crazy stuff. And
Iverson didn't have those finishes, though, where like he would do a 360 spin and then reverse directions again, and then throw up some kind of a looping shot underhanded, but it would miss everything. One of those things where the guy just has the ball the entire time and then ends up throwing a shot that's an air ball short from 4 feet away from the basket. Just throws it up there, and you're like, what the fuck are you doing, man? That's the best we could come up with on that play. Right? And then, you lose your incentive, too, if you're the other guy. Although, he is big with assists, and he does seem to have the team involved. They played a good ball game last night, though, Atlanta. And they beat the Dallas Mavericks in Dallas, so that was impressive. I don't know, if Cuban was under threat to deliberately lose that game, because if you didn't know that was Doncic's father, you would have sworn those were people from some European division of fans.
Yeah, so I just looked it up because I didn't see it last night, but I see a lot of pictures of him with a guy, and I guess it's his dad, and it does look like the Ukraine
big guy. Kind of looks a little like Doncic. Looks a little bit like him. Obviously, it's possible, but he's got like a big scar. And, I mean, he looks like Luca Brasi, actually.
He looks like the dude
that
is the boss, and you do not mess with him.
I'm looking at him going, wow, when is this guy going to just take piano wire and put it around Cuban's neck?
So, yes, we started by talking about Chris Quinn, who is still a Heat coach, I think, and he's been a Heat assistant for a while. Seems like a guy that he's starting to get some pub and get some opportunities at interviews around the league. At some point, he'll be that next great Heat assistant to get a gig. You've seen guys in the past move on. It feels like at one point Chris Quinn will get that. And the Heat have done a great job at really growing their assistants, former players into assistants who then go on to being head coaches. Spoelstra's turned into, if not the best coach in the league, he's top 2. I mean, I guess you might say Popovich because he's been around, but Popovich hasn't won in a long time now. Ever since the big 3, his big 3, moved on, Popovich has not been a great coach. Spoelstra has. Spoelstra has time and time again changed things out. One with more, one with less, with more, one as well. And Spoelstra's become a great coach. And the Miami Heat, he's told us to hang around. They haven't played like he wanted them to, but he hasn't had his team. It was the 15th time that starting lineup was together this season. And you saw what they were able to do, plus having a healthy Oladipo. They are fitting. I don't know what they are championship-wise. They're trying to be very aggressive to make a move. We had Sean Devaney on. And Sean Devaney, it's funny, we've had him on for years, and he doesn't report on much Heat. The last few weeks, he's done a lot of Heat reporting, and he talked about the Heat going aggressive after John Collins, the Heat are being aggressive to get a Jay Crowder, the Heat are being aggressive to really improve that roster. If you can get a legitimate 4, look, Caleb Martin is a nice player, but he has not grown the way that they thought he could and would. You can get someone to put next to Bam, the Heat then will be scary. Right now, they're around the conversation of a Celtics, a Nets, a Sixers, a Bucks. You can make that move, then the Heat firmly belong in that conversation. And these guys can get healthy. Look, I get it, the maintenance plan, and it worked for the playoffs. At some point, they do have to play together so that they can have the kind of run we saw them have last year. And it feels like this may be that. They're, I think, 13-5 or 13-6 in their last 19 games. They are now 4 over 500. They're right in the middle of the Eastern Conference playoff picture with a lot of time left. Miami Heat rounding into form just at the right time. If you want to hear us talk more Heat, you want to hear us talk more sports overall, every day we do that 7 to 9 on South Florida Live, the Defo Show with Lubie. We have our national podcast, The Believe Network. We talk with handicapper, hilarious, classic, and he knows a thing or two about handicapping. Brandon Lang today, The Believe Network, BLEAV.com, search after hours. And lots of days, our South Florida content right here, the Defo Show with Lubie on the 5 Reasons Sports Network.
Play the ponies in style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in Plantation, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar, and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.